Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Please consider subscribing and check out our Patreon for more. Enjoy the video. Miles stared glumly at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. Shaggy brown hair hung in his eyes, narrow shoulders hunched forward as if trying to collapse in on themselves. He let out a sigh. 18 years old today, and what did he have to show for it? No friends, no girlfriend, no life. Just a scrawny, forgettable face that made him want to disappear. A soft knock sounded at the door. "Miles, can I come in?" His older sister Jenna's voice called. "Yeah, sure," he mumbled. The door creaked open and Jenna poked her head in, blonde curls bouncing. "Happy birthday, little bro." She smiled, but it faded as she saw his expression. "What's wrong? Not feeling very festive?" Miles shrugged. "What's there to celebrate? Another year of being an invisible loser." Jenna frowned and stepped into the bathroom. "Hey, none of that negative self-talk, mister. It's your special day." She tapped a manicured finger against her chin, eyes sparkling with sudden mischief. "Tell you what, I have an idea for a birthday present. Something that will make you feel loads better. Trust me." Miles eyed her warily. Jenna's schemes had a way of getting him in trouble. "I don't know." "Oh, come on, live a little, please?" She stuck out her bottom lip in an exaggerated pout. "For me?" He sighed, resolve crumbling under the force of her puppy dog eyes. "Fine. What is it?" Jenna squealed and clapped her hands. "Okay, just keep an open mind." She took a deep breath. "I want to give you a complete makeover. Hair, makeup, clothes, the works, and—" Her eyes darted away. "I want to dress you up as a girl." Miles blinked. Once, twice, certain he must have misheard. "I'm sorry. You want to what now?" His voice came out as an undignified squeak. Jenna held up her hands placatingly. I know. It sounds crazy, but I have this feeling it would be really good for you. Help bring you out of your shell." She placed a hand on his arm, expression earnest. "You're always so tense and unhappy, Miles. I just want to see you smile for once. I think embracing a different side of yourself, even just for a day, could be really freeing. Help you gain some confidence." Miles opened his mouth to refuse, to tell her she was insane, that guys didn't dress up as girls, and certainly not shy, awkward ones like him. But something stopped the automatic denial from passing his lips. A tiny secret part of him was ... intrigued ... He'd always envied Jenna's effortless poise, how comfortable she seemed in her own skin. Maybe her idea wasn't completely bonkers. What did he have to lose? "All right," he said slowly. "I'll do it. But if I hate it, we stop immediately. Deal?" "Yes, absolutely. I promise." Jenna looked like she might explode with excitement. She grabbed his hand and towed him out of the bathroom. "This is going to be so much fun. You'll see." Moments later, Miles found himself perched on a stool in Jenna's bedroom, a fluffy pink bathrobe wrapped around him as she worked. "Eyes closed," she instructed, brandishing a mascara wand. He obediently let his lids drift shut, trying not to flinch as she swiped the brush over his lashes. Foreign scents, flowery perfume, the waxy smell of lipstick filled his nose. It should have felt ridiculous, but as Jenna moved on to patting powder across his cheeks, humming as she worked, an odd sense of peace settled over him. It was strangely liberating, putting himself completely in her hands. "Okay, take a look," Jenna finally declared, spinning him to face her mirror. Miles cracked an eye open and froze, breath catching in his throat. The boy in the reflection wasn't him. Couldn't possibly be him. But the wide emerald eyes blinking back from the glass were undoubtedly his own, framed by long, sooty lashes. Delicate pink bloomed on high cheekbones, rosebud lips glistened with gloss. Tentatively, he raised a hand to his hair, smooth chocolate waves now falling softly around his face. "Is that me?" he whispered. "It's you," Jenna confirmed with a grin. "But we're not done yet. Stand up." In a daze, Miles allowed himself to be steered behind a folding screen. He numbly stepped into the floral dress Jenna passed him, fumbling with the zipper until it nuzzled snug against his spine. The fabric whispered over his freshly shaven legs as Jenna ushered him out to stand before her full-length mirror. Shock rippled through him. It was as if the outside finally matched the inside. In his sister's careful handiwork, Miles recognized the person he'd always hoped lurked beneath his awkward exterior. Pretty, graceful, self-assured. He took a shaky breath, fighting the sudden sting of tears. "Well, what do you think?" Jenna's hopeful face hovered over his shoulder. "I think," Miles swallowed thickly. "I think I finally see myself. The real me." Turning, he pulled her into a crushing hug. "Thank you," he mumbled into her hair. "Thank you so much." Jenna's arms tightened around his waist. "I'm just happy you're happy?" She drew back, smiling mistily. "You look beautiful, Miles, inside and out." For perhaps the first time ever, he believed her. He faced the mirror again, squaring slim shoulders. A giddy laugh bubbled out. The lace-clad girl smiling back at him had a gleam of confidence in her eyes, of potential. Miles spread his arms, relishing the whisper of chiffon against his skin. He felt buoyant, transformed. A sudden sharp rapping shattered the spell. Jenna's door swung open. "Hey kids, I'm heading to the store. Do you need any—" Their mother's voice cut off with a strangled gasp. Miles whirled around. His stomach plummeted as he taking his mother standing frozen in the doorway, one hand clutching the frame. Her face paled to the color of chalk. "Miles," she croaked faintly. "Mom, I—" He groped for an explanation, cheeks burning. "It's not what it looks like. Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like." Her voice rose shrilly, shock morphing to anger. She jabbed an accusing finger at Jenna. "This is your doing, isn't it? Filling your brother's head with this. She spluttered. "This nonsense." Jenna lifted her chin. "It's not nonsense, Mom. And I didn't make Miles do anything he didn't want to. He's a teenage boy. He doesn't know what he wants." "Yes, I do," Miles said softly. Two sets of astonished eyes snapped to him. He nervously smoothed the skirt of his dress, but pushed on. "I want this, to at least explore this side of myself." Meeting his mother's flabbergasted gaze head-on, he continued in a rush before his courage failed. "You're always asking what's wrong with me, why I'm so withdrawn and down on myself all the time. Well, this is why. Because I've never felt right in my own skin. Never felt like the me on the outside matches the me on the inside." He touched a hand to his chest. "But now, dressed like this, it's the first time that dissonance is gone. The first time I've looked in a mirror and actually liked what I see." His voice wavered with emotion. "Can't you understand that? Be happy for me?" I don't—" His mother opened and closed her mouth several times. She looked lost, unmoored by this sudden revelation. This is a lot to take in. "I know it's a shock," Jenna interjected gently, "but Miles is still Miles, no matter what clothes he chooses to wear. He's still your son. This is just him figuring out how to be true to himself." His mother rubbed a hand across her face, took a measured breath. Okay. She refocused on Miles. "I can't pretend to understand this, and I won't lie, it scares me, but—" Her expression softened. "You're my child, my beautiful boy, or girl, or whatever you need to be." She held her arms out. "As long as you're happy, that's all that matters." Something inside Miles cracked wide open. He flew across the room and flung himself into his mother's embrace, tears leaking free. "I love you," he whispered. "I love you so much." "Oh, honey." She pressed a kiss into his hair, rocking him like she had when he was small. "I love you too, no matter what." Over her shoulder, Miles saw Jenna grinning mistily at them. She flashed him a thumbs up. He smiled back, heart so full he thought it might burst. This day had brought changes he never could have anticipated when he woke up this morning. But now, enfolded in acceptance, Miles knew one thing for certain. With his family's support and his newfound confidence, he could figure the rest out. Today was just the beginning. Miles stepped back from his mother's hug, swiping at damp cheeks with the back of his hand. He let out a shaky laugh as Jenna came over and threaded an arm through his. "Well, that was even more emotionally charged than I expected," she quipped. "But in a good way." Their mother smiled, eyes crinkling at the corners. "You two sure know how to keep a parent on their toes." Jenna snorted. "Please, we're a cakewalk compared to your wild youth if even half your stories are true." "Never you mind about that." She cleared her throat and changed the subject. "Now, I believe we were in the middle of a very important makeover session?" Miles perked up. With the stress of his mom's initial reaction fading, eagerness to continue his transformation bubbled up again. He glanced at Jenna hopefully. "There's more?" "Oh, honey, we're just getting started." She tugged him toward her closet with a grin. "Time to see what other treasures we can dig up." Soon, Miles found himself once more ensconced in Jenna's plush bedroom, a rainbow explosion of skirts, dresses, and blouses spread out across every surface. His mom and sister took turns holding up options for his appraisal, heads bent together as they debated hemlines and color palettes. "Oh, this one would look amazing with your eyes." Jenna dangled a flowing emerald green dress in front of him. Their mother made an approving noise. "Yes, that would really make them pop!" Miles reached out to finger the silky fabric, something bright and warm unfurling in his chest. This easy acceptance, their determined support and enthusiasm, it was everything he hadn't dared hope for. "Green it is," he declared and ducked behind the screen to shimmy into it. The cool material settled over his shoulders like a sigh, skimming his figure in all the right places. He did a little twirl, relishing the way it flared out around his calves. Let's see," Jenna demanded. Miles stepped out with a shy smile. His audience cooed appreciatively. "You look like a spring goddess," his mom declared, circling him. "Doesn't he? That cut is divine on you." Jenna whipped out her phone. "We are so documenting this. Smile." Miles laughed and struck a pose as she snapped away. It still felt a little surreal, but the pure joy on his family's faces drove away any lingering hesitation. If they could embrace this new side of him so fully, he could too. They moved on to a filmy lavender blouse and flowing floral skirt next. Miles swished his hips experimentally, giggling at the pleasant whisper of fabric against his smooth legs. Each new outfit chipped away a little more at the cage of uncertainty he'd lived in for so long. Piece by piece, he could feel himself settling into this skin, his true skin. His sister held up a royal blue skater dress with a considering eye. "I have a pair of heels that would go perfectly with this." Miles paused. "Heels? I don't know." Teetering around on stilts seemed like a recipe for twisted ankles and embarrassment. "You'll never know unless you try," Jenna said encouragingly. "I'll give you a tutorial." He wavered, but the hopeful look on her face crumbled his resistance. "Fine, but I reserve the right to tap out if I faceplant." Soon he tottered out from behind the screen, wobbling like a newborn giraffe in a pair of low nude pumps. Jenna steadied him as he found his balance. "There, not so bad, right? It's all in the ankles." She glanced down at his feet critically. "We'll work up to something higher once you've got the basics." Miles took a few tentative steps, then a few more. To his surprise, after a minute, he fell into a rhythm, hips swaying as he paced an unsteady circuit around the room. "Hey, I think I'm getting the hang of this," he crowed, confidence growing. The heels forced him to stand taller, shoulders thrown back. He felt powerful, graceful. Jenna clapped, bouncing on her toes. "Yes, work it! You're a natural!" Even his mom looked impressed. "Is there anything you can't do in heels?" she teased. "Just you wait. I'll be running marathons in stilettos in no time," he shot back with a grin. The next hour passed in a blur of ruffles, lace, and kitten heels. Miles grew more at ease with each change, playfully voguing with Jenna as his mother cheered them on. By the time he had cycled through his sister's entire wardrobe, his cheeks ached from smiling. "I think that's everything," Jenna said finally, surveying the explosion of discarded garments. "Unless you want to dip into my unmentionables." She waggled her eyebrows. "No, thank you," Miles said quickly, flushing. "I'm not ready to venture into bra territory quite yet." She laughed and held up her hands. "Just teasing. But for real, how do you feel? Did you have fun?" "I feel—" Miles looked down at himself, smoothing the gauzy white sundress he currently wore. "Free, happy." He met her gleaming eyes, then his mother's. "More myself than I ever have." "Oh, baby." His mom pulled him into another hug, eyes going misty. "You have no idea how much it means to hear you say that." "Seriously, I'm so proud of you," Jenna added, wrapping her arms around them both. Bess nestled her shoulder. They stayed like that for a long moment, just breathing together. A thought occurred to Miles as they finally broke apart. He glanced down at his new favorite outfit, uncertainty. "So, what happens now? Do I change back into my old clothes, or—" His mother and Jenna exchanged a look. "You wear whatever makes you feel most comfortable," his mom said firmly. "There's no wrong answer." "Except ratty jeans and stained graphic tees," Jenna cut in. "Those are always a wrong answer. But a sundress to dinner? Chic as heck. You'll be the best-dressed one there." Their easy acceptance soothed his nerves. Miles nodded, resolved. "Then I'm staying like this," he declared. Jenna beamed. "Hell yes, the world needs your stylish self." His mother squeezed his hand. "I think this calls for a celebration dinner out, don't you? You'll be the belle of the ball." Miles' heart skipped. Leaving the house like this, being seen, the idea was as terrifying as it was thrilling. But it was the next logical step. "I'm in," he said, trying to project confidence. "Fake it till you make it, right? Then it's settled. Everyone get cleaned up and changed." Mom clapped her hands together. "I'll make us a reservation at Alessandro's." Jenna let out an impressed whistle as she skipped out. "Fancy, my favorite." Miles turned back to the mirror as the door clicked shut behind them, studying his reflection. The face peering back still looked uncannily like a stranger, all long lashes and glossed lips. But the green eyes shining beneath the artfully tousled hair were familiar, his own. For the first time, the disconnect between interior and exterior had lessened. He felt aligned, like the compass needle of his soul had finally stopped its relentless spinning and pointed true north. Miles took a deep breath, smoothing imaginary wrinkles from the skirt of his dress as he followed his mom and sister out to the car. Nerves jangled beneath his skin, but excitement thrummed alongside them. This was really happening. He was going out in public for the first time as herself? Himself? The pronouns felt clumsy on his tongue. An issue for another time, perhaps. The drive to the restaurant passed in a blur of streetlights and stop signs. Miles kept his gaze fixed out the window, concentrating on keeping his breathing slow and even as Jenna chattered away in the seat beside him. All too soon, his mother was pulling into the crowded parking lot of Alessandro's. Miles swallowed hard as he climbed out, the balmy evening air kissing his shoulders and legs. The urge to wrap his arms around himself, to hunch inward protectively, pulled at him. He resisted, forcing his spine straight. "You can do this," he told himself sternly. "No hiding." "Ready?" his mom asked as they approached the entrance, warm light and conversation spilling out the front doors. "As I'll ever be," Miles replied, trying for a smile. It came out brittle feeling. Jenna caught his hand and gave it a quick, bolstering squeeze before releasing him. "You got this, sis. Or bro, whichever you're feeling." A startled laugh hiccuped out of him, breaking the anxious tension. Trust Jenna to cut right to the heart of it. "Let's go with sis for tonight." but I reserve the right to change my mind. You got it, sis. She bumped him with her hip, eyes twinkling. Miles bumped her back, some of his jitters easing. Hand in hand, the three of them crossed the threshold into the tinkle of silverware and jazz. The maitre d' greeted them with a professional smile as they approached his podium. Good evening. Do you have a reservation? Yes, Hanson, party of 3, his mom replied smoothly. If the man batted an eye at Miles's presence, he hid it well. Right this way. He plucked 3 leather-bound menus from a slot and gestured for them to follow. They wove between tables draped in starched ivory linens, the glow of tea lights shimmering off polished tableware. Miles kept his eyes forward, trying to ignore the prickle of gazes lingering on him as they passed. Were people staring? Susurrations seemed to eddy in their wake, or maybe that was just his imagination. He resisted the urge to tug at his skirt. The maitre d' came to a halt beside a round table set with sparkling place settings. Your table. Michelle will be right over to get your drink orders. With another courteous smile, he swept off, leaving them to settle into the high-backed chairs. Miles perched gingerly on the burgundy cushion, the dress riding up to reveal an expanse of smooth thigh. He tugged the hem down self-consciously. How did girls manage this all the time? Thanks for watching. Check out Patreon if you want to have early access to the other parts. If not, it will be online in a couple of days.